सवैया जोत जीते इन्हीं के प्रसाद इन्हीं के प्रसाद सुदान करे अक अवगटारे इन्हीं के प्रसाद इन्हीं की कृपा पुण्य धाम भरे इन्हीं के प्रसाद सो विद्यालय इन्हीं की कृपा सब संत मरे नहीं की कृपा के सजे हम हैं नहीं पोसो गरीब करोड़ मरे।
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh, and welcome to another episode of the Sikh Renaissance. So, the last episode really took off. And in that episode, it was a Punjabi episode, by the way. We discussed the rise and fall of the Sikh Empire and the context behind it, especially in light of the latest research that has been conducted on the Dal Khalsa and the Sikh missiles. So, in that episode, the conclusion was based on the fact that the Sikh leaders of the time, especially Rani Sadakaur and Maharaja Ranjit Singh, were unable to fathom and see the reality that Sardar Jassa Singh Ramgarhia, Baba Sahib Singh Bedi, and previously Allah Singh of Patiala and Nawab Kapoor Singh had seen, that when it came to Patiala, it was so strategically located, its geography made it basically a prisoner, that it would have to tolerate any enemy that passed through it, while at the same time passing on all the arms and armaments that were being sent to Punjab from Sikhs outside Punjab from beyond Delhi. So it was quite a complex situation Patiala was caught in, and Baba Sahib Singh Bedi and not Maharaja, sorry, Jassa Singh Ramgarhia knew that Patiala, if it capitulated to the enemy, in this case the British, there would be nothing much left of the Sikh Empire eventually, because the Satluj, on whose banks Patiala was, could be used as the final boundary line. So while the British had the rest of India behind them, the Sikhs were basically confined to Afghanistan and Punjab. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh did try setting up a land bridge between him and Nepal, but that came to nothing, especially since he died while General Zorawar Singh was leading the battle. Sindh was also consolidated by the British. So it was quite an interesting game of chess that was being played at the time. And if Ranjit Singh had been alive, it would have resulted in a decisive Sikh victory, but the fact he wasn't, and the Sikh empire was betrayed by the Sanatan Vedic Hindus with their false religion of Sanatan Hinduism, and the Muslims with their false religion of Islam. So that does sort of show that at the end of the day, the fall of Sikh sovereignty was pretty damn evident from the start. As soon as Sadakaur made the mistake of going after Patiala, this was when that fall was basically etched in the fate or destiny of the Sikhs, if you will. So, today's episode, in a way, is interlinked with that episode, because the questions we have had since then are, well, what was the Khalsa dynamic at the time? So, why wasn't the Khalsa able to see or use any mechanisms to see that this was going to be its eventual fate? Because isn't the Khalsa the supreme apex of the Sikh identity? And it is. Our historic texts, ranging from the Shri Gur Sobha to the Shri Gur Panth Prakash to even the Suraj Prakash and the Shri Gur Katha, the Amarnama, contemporary and neo-contemporary Rahatnamas, and the works of non-Sikhs in Persian and other languages, they all testify to the fact that the Singh-Khalsa identity is the most supreme in the Sikh way of life. And there is a reason for this in Sikhi. Just because, and this was the same argument that was applied to finally expose the lies of Harjot Oberoi and Peshwara Singh when they constructed that really elaborate argument about religious boundaries, that it's obvious that there were many syncretisms and schisms in the Sikh identity, that even though the Gurus had a unity of Sikhi, right, they united the Sikhs, there were many who were geographically dispersed or far away who started consolidating the faith with other practices, leading to a bit of a hodgepodge. But the Sikh Gurus from Guru Nanak onwards centralized the Sikh doctrine in the Shabad Guru. So at the end of the day, the Sikhs had this one singular yardstick through which to understand what Sikhi was. Guru Gobind Singh Ji basically cemented and solidified that for all of eternity in the form of the Guru Granth and the Guru Panth Khalsa, the Singh-Khalsa, in that identity. Now, obviously, over time, all these other identities were supposed to fall away. We see this in the Shri Guru Sobha when Guru Gobind Singh Ji dispatched the five Akali Sikhs, the five Pachangis, to go to Delhi and give Khande ki Pahal to all those who wanted to stay in Sikhi. The Sanatan Vedic Hindu Khatris of Delhi, who used to claim that they were Sikhs based on some of their ancestors being Sikhs and the fact that they were Khatris, they went and complained to the governor of Delhi, the Muslim governor, that, hey, look, these guys, this Gobind Singh is creating a lot of drama in Punjab. What the hell is this Khande ki Pahal, this Khalsa? What is this? Guru Nanak does not agree with that sort of stuff. But the five Singhs, they managed to prove their point, and ultimately, these Sanatan Vedic Hindu Khatris were beaten and kicked out of Sikh circles because it was well understood that Guru Gobind Singh Ji was following the same dynamic as Guru Nanak. Now, unfortunately, what's happened today is that we have divorced Guru Nanak from Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and we discussed this point in the Sword of Nanak episode. So there is no point in me repeating myself over and over again. So please listen to that English episode to understand how the Shabads of Guru Granth Sahib interlink with the Khalsa. However, based on that foundation, as we progress forward, so the question we have been asked is, what is the Khalsa really? So this is something we need to explore to understand why the Sikhs are in the dire straits they are in today, and why the Dal Khalsa at the time, or the remaining Dal Khalsa at the time, was not able to consolidate and understand what its future was going to be with the British and post British. So, what exactly is the Khalsa? Right? So, previous episodes, especially the Sword of Nanak, we have clarified that at the end of the day, Guru Nanak was the original Khalsa archetype, and it is through the Shabads of Guru Nanak and the rest of the Guru Granth Sahib that Guru Gobind Singh Ji created the Khalsa and the Khalsa Maryada. And all that is in that episode, all the Shabads with their Ang references. What we are going to focus on today is the role and purpose of the Khalsa and its historical application. So, first of all, what exactly is the Khalsa? So the term has multiple meanings, but the one that is used in Sikh theology is basically that, hey, it means pure, right? Pristinity and purity. That's what it means. So that is the Khalsa, as far as we are concerned, from the Sikh theological aspect. And the Guru Granth Sahib, if we look at the Guru Granth Sahib, now there is this contention that the Khalsa is just a cult or a sect or some response to an exigency at the time. And this is what Dr. Gurnam Singh of the UK usually says the most. And obviously, this is followed by the likes of pseudo scholars like Harjinder Diljit and Karminder Tillo and all the missionary retards. But the reality is that, as Jagjit Singh points out in the Percussions of History, its longevity and the fact it's so praised and so glorified and celebrated in contemporary Sikh texts of the time means something else altogether. And the Sikh lived experience historically shows that the Khalsa always had a prominent position. So, in a nutshell, what exactly is the Khalsa? So, if we look at Japji Sahib, Manne Tare Tare Gursikh, right? Faith or belief in Akal means swimming across this worldly ocean. Manne Tare Tare Gursikh. And if you want to swim across this world, right, the Guru of the Sikhs, if you accept what the Guru of the Sikhs says, right, then you will eventually swim across this world, which means surpassing the world and relinquishing, rejecting all its dark ways, all its evil and malicious ways. But you have to make the effort yourself. So, in a nutshell, the Khalsa is the one who has made this effort, and they have succeeded. They have succeeded beyond all doubt. And then we look at Gurbani. So the Khalsa has a purpose as well, and this purpose is elaborated in the Guru Granth Sahib as well. Sant Sahai Jiya ka bhav jal taran har, सबको ऊंचा सब ते ऊंचा जानिए नानक नाम प्यार जिन जानिया सोई तरे सो सूरे सो बीर नानक तिन बलहार ने हर जप उतरे तीर. Right? So this is on Ang 929 of Guru Granth Sahib, and what it basically means that the Sants, the seekers of the truth, right? And Sikhi, the Khalsa, the Gursikh, the Gurmukh, all these are synonyms, even Sant, for the seeker of the truth. So The seeker of the truth is the true associate of Akal, assisting the beings who are still stuck in crossing this worldly quagmire. Know them to be the highest of all because Guru Nanak reveals that they only love the Nam and nothing else. Knowing the Nam, they cross over and transform into valorous warriors. Guru Nanak is a sacrifice unto them. They immerse themselves in the divine presence through jap to cross over to the other side. So let's look at the three concepts down here. One is Nam. We have clarified what Nam is in the Nam episode, so yeah, you can listen to that as a build up to this one. Secondly, the Sant in Sikhi is aggressive. Jin janiya soy tare so sura so beer. Right? These terms need to be comprehended in the context of Guru Nanak's times, around the time the Gurus wrote Gurbani, and they reflect a Shastartari, aggressive being who upholds the truth. And this mystic, this Khalsa, crosses over the other side but then comes back. Why do they come back? Santa Sahai Jia Ka Pavjal Taranhar, to help others cross across. And this is what Baba Vasakha Singh elaborated to Sardar Daljit Singh, that the Khalsa is the high mystic, right? The Khalsa is the high mystic, a continuity of Guru. So what happens with the Khalsa, if you look at it, is that the Khalsa runs across. The Khalsa crosses the worldly ocean. Anumukti mil gayi hai. The Khalsa is liberated. But then the Khalsa returns to liberate others. So it's like an individual being stuck in a well, climbing out of the well, and then coming back to show the other individual stuck in the well how to get out. So that is essentially the Khalsa. And at the end of the day, this is the Khalsa's primary mission. So Sikhs are the ones who are following the true path of Sikhi. No one else can be a Sikh. There is this retardation going on Discord at the moment that if you believe in Jesus Christ, it's the same universal love, compassion, and all that stupidity that Bhakt Freed and Kabir speak of. No, that isn't the same. That liberal secular definition isn't the same. So essentially, that is not what the Khalsa does, right? When the Khalsa comes back, this imperfect world will attack it. And that's why the Khalsa has to be a bead and surbir. It needs to be aggressive and it needs to be militant. This is the Khalsa. So, what is the Khalsa then? So, let's look at it from another perspective. Guru Nanak had a group of several Sikhs who he entrusted with Prachar, right? Because these Sikhs lived Sikhi. From among them, he chose Bhai Nand to be Guru Angad, the second Guru. Guru Angad had the same system. From among them, he chose Baba Amardas to be the third Guru, Guru Amardas. Guru Amardas had the same system. From among them, he chose Bhai Jetha or Guru Ramdas to be the fourth Guru. Guru Ramdas selected Guru Arjan. Guru Arjan selected Guru Hargobind. Guru Hargobind selected Guru Harai. Guru Harai selected Guru Harkrishan. Guru Harkrishan selected Guru Tegh Bahadur. Guru Tegh Bahadur selected Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Now, there is a very haunting passage in the Shri Guru Panth Prakash that when the Khalsa is being persecuted so brazenly by the Sanatan Vedic Hindus and the Muslims, that it does a ardas to Akal Purakh, that hey Sache Pacha Akal Purakh, if the Khalsa is gone, then who will believe in your Granth? Who will live your Granth? Who will live your Granth? Who will respect Gurbani? Who will follow it? Who will adhere to it? Who will show it 100% commitment? And that passage reveals more when you read between the lines from Bhai Ratan Singh Pangu Shri Guru Panth Prakash. And when we see all the ancient Rahatanamas with the Guru's own signature and the near contemporary Rahatanamas, they all speak of the Khalsa as the Shri Guru Panth Khalsa, the Guru Panth Khalsa, right? Shri Guru Panth Prakash, right? All these names refer to the Khalsa as the Guru Panth Khalsa. So when it came to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, there were multiple indications that the Sikh system had to continue beyond the human gurus. Now, of course, we say Asi Deta Yadi Puja Nahi Karde, we don't worship the body. And that's correct. But we take it to an extreme level when we say that there is no bodily, no physical guru, as in the human sense in Sikhi. There is. And this isn't the retardation that the Namtaris do by putting pedophiles on a pedestal and worshipping them. What it really is something different altogether. Guru Gobind Singh Ji knew that the Guru Granth Sahib only had value, the Shabad Guru only had value while it had a medium for expression, right? And if it didn't have a medium for the expression, an organic living breathing medium, it was going to be obsolete. So, for this reason, he decided to do what Guru Nanak already envisioned, that the Khalis Sikhs be made the Guru, right? The Khalis Sikhs had to be made the Guru. So, they would be made the Guru in the same sense that the 10 human Gurus were made Gurus by their predecessors, by the Gurus before them, that they lived Gurbani of the Guru Granth Sahib 101%. That was the main yardstick. And that same yardstick is what the Guru decided the Sikhs, the Khalis Sikhs, would have to subject themselves to. And by doing so, if they were successful, what would they become? And for this reason, it was decided that they would become the Guru Panth Khalsa. So let's look at what Bhai Gurdas says. Siddh Siddhak Mil Jagde Kar Sivrati Jati Mela. The Siddhs and other recluses meet and attempt to awaken themselves, their inner beings, by performing austerities at the Shivratri fair. Mahadev Odat Hai Kalsin Ansin Kaskela. Mahadev is a recluse and is infatuated with yogic poses, thinking they will awaken and enlighten him. Gorakh Jogi Jagda Gur Mashinder Tari So Tarela. So the ascetic Gorakh calls himself awake. He declares that he has awakened, he has become enlightened after meeting his Guru Machinder, the lustful one who ran away with a prostitute. Satguru Jag Jagaida Sad Sangat Mele Amritavela. But the true Guru, now this is where Bhai Gurdas does a very clever thing. He mixes historic fact with a metaphor. So only Satguru Guru Nanak is the true awakener who meets the Sad Sangat at the ambrosial hours. So in this way, what he's saying is that Satguru Nanak is Akal's Naam personified. So when Akal's Naam comes within the Hirda of the Sangat, those committed to living Sikhi, they truly awake. But at the same time, he's using a historical fact, and Gurbani does talk about getting up early in the morning, even though the Karminder Singh Tillo clowns will deny this, is that Guru Nanak also used to waken early and meet the Sangat in the early hours of the morning. Nejkar tari lain anhad shabad peram raskhela. So in the divine house, the Gurdwara, deep contemplation is practiced and the self enjoys immersion within the wisdom of the unspoken speech. So again, he's mixing history and the metaphorical language of the time in a very clever fashion to say that the Sikhs, what they did in the Gurdwaras, but again, what their internal avastha was. Ad Purakha Des hai, Alakh Niranjan Nehe Na Vela. So, the primal being Akal is deserving of all salutations, for he is unmarked and forever existent. That is what we need to awaken to, the reality of Akal Purakh, the hukam of Akal Purakh. Chelle te Guru, Guru te Chella. And this is, the reference for the Vara is 1726. But what this last line means, Chelle te Guru, Guru te Chella, and so from the disciple to the Guru, and from Guru to the disciple. So the final line is noteworthy because it provides evidence that the Gurus from Guru Nanak, the original Guru onwards, subjected themselves to the same mortal constraints and underwent the same limitations as mortals to prove that the rigorous path of Sikhi, as exemplified by the Khalsa, was achievable. So it is this descent of true divinity from the divine realms to the world of mortals in the form of the Gurus and its undergoing of the same trials as the common man that sanctifies the path of Sikhi is the only true faith in the world of false faiths. So the Guru archetype as a model underwent the same rigors as the Sikh, the disciple, And from there was established this continuity of a Sikh becoming a Guru until the investiture of the Panth as Guru in 1698. So, to simplify it, Guru Gobind Singh Ji made the Panth the Guru. So the Panth was the way, but at the same time, the people who personified the way. These were the young Gursikhs who lived their lives 101% committed to Sikhi, and they had to be young. There is a reason why they had to be young. And this is again from the Gurbani of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. The Sikh, the Khalsa, the Guru Panth Khalsa had to be young to be relevant to its times. But there was another reality here as well. And that is because the path of Sikhi is practical. It has to be lived. And with the youth, at least we know that there is a natural longevity in their life. Otherwise, of course, yeah, they can die at any time, there's no guarantee, but we're just basing our statistical analysis on what happens during a majority of times. So, for older people, there was an exception made if it was deserving, but otherwise, the Guru refrained from giving them Khande ki Pohol. So, that ceremony of Khande ki Pohol, if you look at all the Theasic grants, none of them call it a magic potion. They call it an investiture, an entry into the Khalsa, the school of the Khalsa. But none of them ever call it a ceremony with magic potions. All that rubbish came later, but unfortunately, the missionaries, the neo missionaries, and the upgrades are using that to throw our historical texts down the well. But they're just throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So, the reality being that you had to be young and committed to the Guru's hukam, a committed Sikh. It wasn't like you come in as a Hindu or a Muslim and in the name of Sarbat da Pala and Kudrat ke sab bande, you took Amrit and became a Khalsa. It was never like that. You became a Khalsa by living Sikhi. This was the order for the Sikhs. Obviously, there were some political incidents where the Dal Khalsa gave Khande ki Pohol to non-Sikhs. But then again, this was an exception under rigorous conditions. In reality, you had to be a Sikh first, and then you took Khande ki Pohol. And Dr. Ganda Singh has written a very amazing and beautiful biography of Maharaja Kodamal. Today, Maharaja Kodamal's entire lineage, all of his descendants are Amritari. And there is a reality here about Maharaja Kodamal which reflects the time. Maharaja Kodamal, according to George Forrester, who met his descendants just before Ranjit Singh's reign, and many others, he was a Khulasa. So, or Khulasasaga. So there were at that time several divisions between Sikhs, a hierarchy. Just because we don't believe in caste doesn't mean we don't believe in hierarchy. So among the Khalsa, there was this hierarchy. Akali. These were the Sikhs who only they could give Khande ki Pohol. And they were usually associated with the Misal Sheed. They could do Prachar, they could give Pohol. And they also fought in the battlefield. But at the end of the day, those under them, the second tier, reporting to them were the Rathiye. And these were your political Sikhs. So these two spectrums, these two levels, Akali, the Rathiye, these were Amritari, Khande ki Pohol and Nishakisi. So these were the Khalsas. So Rathiye were given a few exceptions in terms of marriage, but these were your political Sikhs, the ones who ruled. They were chosen for ruling. Under them were your Milvartaniye. They were prominent Sikhs, but they were prominent because they were prominent in positions of power under non-Sikhs. Right? So these Sikhs worked for non-Sikhs, but they were in prominent positions like Bhai Sabeg Singh, Shabaz Singh, and those types of people, Bhai Tara Singh Jivan, etc. Then you had your Chakrels. So these were Sikhs who worked under non-Sikhs and had no prominent position under them. So they were usually your spies and assassins. So then came another division, Khalse, Sahajatari, the Khalase. The Khalase were your Mone, right? They were your Mone who weren't Sikhs. But by being born in Sikh families or by being associated with the Sikh culture or by supporting the Sikhs, they became the Khalase because their loyalty was to Sikhi. But the Khulasa could never have this excuse that I'm on my own journey or this is a spiritual path. It was expected that once they committed to helping the Sikhs, that by the time they resolved whatever problem was facing them or the Panth, they became Sahajtari. The Sahajtari were those who had the Kakars and the Kes especially, and they were working towards taking Khande ki Pahul and becoming the Khalsa. There is a reason why the Sanatan Vedic Hindus advised Bahadur Shah during Banda Singh's era to get a majority of his retainers to cut their case, because they knew that this would instantly flush out those Sahajatari Sikhs who had not taken Khande ki Pahul but were supporting the Khalsa. So this is recorded in contemporary accounts at the time. So then it came to another aspect down here, that when Guru Gobind Singh Ji gave Khande ki Pahul, if we look at the statistical, if we just assume that there is a statistical figure for all the Sikhs who came to Punjab, Anandpur Sahib that day, it's 101% guaranteed that the Pahul was given to a very few number. And this is a really grim reality, and it will prove very controversial. So seniors were usually discounted from taking Khande ki Pahul, right? And the youth were given it, but only the best of the best youth. So the way the system began was that among the Sangat, you had those who were selected on account of their 101% commitment to Sikhi to become Khalsa. And the Khalsa was the religio-political vehicle of Sikhi. So if we look at it, the Khalsa was the Guru Panth Khalsa. It was committed to living like the Guru. It was 101% the Guru's form, but at the same time, this Guru Panth Khalsa had the same decision-making prerogatives as the Guru, so it had the socio-political and religio-political and military political power of the Guru himself, of the Gurus themselves, if you want. So only the most veteran or the most committed were chosen to take Khande ki Pahul. So Sangats got together in Gurdwaras, selected them, they were given Pahul, and from among those who were more experienced in statecraft strategy in the military, they were promoted and given a higher position. Then among them, this other tier, even more were chosen who had more experience, and in this way, you went from the bottom layer, one layer, two layer, three layer, four layer, five layer. By the time you got to the sixth and seventh layer, you only had the best of the best holding the most prominent positions. And this is evident throughout Sikh history. If you look at Baba Banda Singh Bahadur and his Panch Pradhani, best of the best leading the Panth. And this is why, after the betrayal and martyrdom of Baba Banda Singh, even though there was a dissolution of that Panch Pradhani, the Sikh leadership structure remained extant. It went to Bhai Mani Singh Ji and Baba Darbara Singh Ji, who led the Sikh Qaum for the next 30 years. Right? And from there, again, the best of the best were selected. And even though Nawab Kapoor Singh's ascension to Nawabi, that hey, there's a guy over there and he's just shoveling horse dung, yup, he's also fanning the Sangat. Yeah, he's the next Nawab. Yeah, it seems very arbitrary. By today's standards, it seems very retarded to just look at these two things and use them as qualifiers for giving him the Nawabi. But at that time, they knew that only the best of the best was the Khalsa, and by selecting him, there was no chance that he would screw up, right? And then Nawab Kapoor Singh went ahead, and in a matter of few days, if Ratan Singh Pangu and Gyani Gyan Singh are to be believed, and other contemporary accounts, in a matter of few days, Nawab Kapoor Singh ended up choosing 10 to 11 Sikhs who would had different components of the Buddha Dal and the Tarna Dal, right? They were the Khalsa, they were the best of the best. And again, one can ask, well, it only took him 4 days to choose these people. Well, yeah, but then you look at the next 15 to 20 years, these 10 to 11 Jathedars, they led the Qaum and the Panth through the Chota Kalukara, through multiple genocides, and look, at the end, they paved the way for Khalsa Raj, right? No one questioned them because they were the Khalsa, because the best of the best were being chosen. Right? So then it comes to another point of the Guru Panth Khalsa. So the Guru Panth Khalsa is the government of the Sikhs as well, right? Akal Takht is its parliament. Of course, the retarded boomers will argue against this point, but stuff them. So the reality is that the Guru Panth Khalsa was the government of the Sikhs as well, right? So when we look at the Dal Khalsa structure, it came down to that the best of the best were in 11 territories in Punjab, in 11 regions, they all got together. And among them, they decided we're the best of the best, we're the most dominant. Yeah, Jathedar Jassa Singh Ahluwalia will be our leader. He's the commander-in-chief, he has the most experience. He's the best of the best. Out of all the Sikh military Jathebandis, he's the greatest commander because that's the best of the best. He's risen to the top, right? The best of the best Sikhs are given Amrit. From there, they're made Khalsas. From there, they're trained for their various roles. Yeah, 11 of us are the most prominent who know how to run a government and how to fight military battles. Right. Who's the best among us then? Yep, Jathedar Jassa Singh Ahluwalia, right? This was the Khalsa system. So the Khalsa Sarkar had multiple forms. Banda Singh Bahadur was a military dictator, right? But no one questioned him. Best of the best. It was a guarantee. Khande ki Pahal was given. It was hard to take Pahal because it was about preserving your pull of perfect Sikhs. Now, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can waltz in, take Amrit, and become another retard on the stage, another retarded political leader. But at that time, it was very different, right? So under Nawab Kapoor Singh, it became a bit more Republican because you had more Sikhs who were capable of ruling because they were Khalsa. But after Nawab Kapoor Singh, Jathedar Jassa Singh Ahluwalia took supreme command, but under him he had the 10 others. So we had that government of 11. And after him, it fell to Maharaja Ranjit Singh, who eventually did end up corrupting the system. But for what it's worth, the Khalsa government system lasted for almost 1 century. It was so perfect. But when the British clouded it and they introduced, their own agents like Baba Nanda Singh of Nanaksar to open Amrit to everyone, Amrit Shakoni the Mukti ni Merdi, if you don't take Amrit, you won't get Mukti, etc., etc. They destroyed the whole institute. But the Gurus made this institute so spectacularly perfect. If we start following it today, we will be at the top once again, right? So few Amritaris led the Panth. Now the question comes down to, well, what about Mukti? Taking Amrit isn't going to give you Mukti. You have to be a Jivan Mukti. You have to be on the path of Mukti before taking Amrit for you to be recognized as a valid candidate for taking Amrit. And it should be given by Panj Singhs who are on the path of Sikhi themselves, who are Khalsa, right? So these are the sort of historical facts that we have started ignoring, much to our detriment. So this is what's been happening among us, that we have forgotten what it is, right? What Amrit, what the Khalsa really is. So what is the Guru Panth Khalsa? For the Sikhs, it is an example of how the Gurus lived. And how did the Gurus live? Like the Gurbani of the Guru Granth Sahib says so. So that is why we have the Guru Granth, the Shabad Guru, and the Guru Panth, which is the organic expression, the human reflection of the Shabad. Because without the reflection, yeah, anyone can do whatever the hell they want, right? Like Ratan Singh Pang, who says the Khalsa did their das. If we don't survive, then who will live the Granth, right? So that's a very crucial element of Sikhi that we are ignoring today. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji has clarified this. So it will be later that we will look at further Shabads in a written article or in a podcast that reflect the Khalsa. But the Sword of Nanak, the Naam, and the Hukam episodes, they are all in English. They have all the necessary Shabads within them. So now we come to another aspect, and that is Bhai Nand Lal Ji. So Bhai Nand Lal Ji was Guru Gobind Singh Ji's poet laureate, right? So he sat down with Guru Gobind Singh Ji and he asked a lot of questions. And Guru Maharaj basically said, well, Bhai Nand Lal Ji, this is the answer, this is the answer, this is the answer. And it reflects the relationship between both the Guru and Bhai Nand Lal. So Bhai Nand Lal always wanted to know what the Khalsa was, right? Ki Maharaj Khalsa ki hai. That, hey, Guruji, can you please tell me what the Khalsa is? And Guru Maharaj used to answer him, right? Guru Maharaj used to say, this is the Khalsa, this is what it is, etc., etc. So there is nothing in the manuscripts we have of the Prashanuttar, Rehetnama, that this is Bammanvadi, Soch, or, infiltration. But then the idiots among us who argue against it will always argue against it. So I don't see any point in convincing the blind. If they want to go die, let them die. It's up to them. So the Prashanuttar of Bhai Nand Lal is very, very, very crucial for understanding what the Khalsa is and how it's related to the Gurbani of the Guru Granth Sahib. It's the starting point, and this is exactly why it's vital, why it's valid in today's time. And if we had this document in every Gurdwara, given in every pamphlet, the sort of quandary we find ourselves in today won't be happening. So, what exactly did Bhai Nand Lal ask Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and what exactly did Guru Gobind Singh Ji say back to him? So, Bhai Nand Lal, as we know, was the poet laureate of the Guru. So, it's a very interesting document, the Prashanuttar, and it is something worth considering and reflecting on, especially in today's time, is the Panth faces a crisis of existence. So, what exactly was in Bhai Nand Lal that the Guru admired? And that was basically the fact that he was educated. So, Padhe Likhe San, and he had a very inquisitive nature. And this was exactly what the Guru admired about him. And the Prashanuttar Hetnama of Bhai Nand Lal, so it's believed it was written in 1695, so before the Khalsa Sadhana, but it also gives evidence that the Khalsa was on the way, that it was Guru Nanak's vision. So Guru Gobind Singh Ji is sitting at Anandapur Sahib and Bhai Nand Lal asks Guru Maharaj, what exactly is the Guru and what is the Khalsa? So the Guru replies that the Guru has three forms. So, according to the Rehatnama, the first form of the Guru is of mystical nature, Nirguna, the invisible. The Guru is the light that transcends creation and permeates every heart and cell. So, I wouldn't exactly call it light because this is from the Bhai Nandalal website. By Nirgun, what it is that the Guru is the essence of Akal, right? The noumenon within, the divine capability of Akal personified. And the Guru's main mission is to unleash our divine capability, to help us realize it within us. But the Guru, in essence, what is the Guru? We are imperfect. The Guru is perfect because the Guru is the divine capability of Akal himself personified. So, this is the Nirguna Roop of the Guru. So Guru Gobind Singh Ji says that the Guru has three forms, but the Nirgun Sarup is the one that is always permeating because it is one with Akal. And when the individual mortal self realizes themselves, the individual Sikh, they also become Nirgun, right? So their light, their internal divine capability merges with the real divine capability, the bigger divine capability of Akal himself. And this is it. So the Guru, the Guru's main mission is to take the Sikh to the same avastha, the same state as himself. And if you look at the false religions, the pedophilic acts of Muhammad, the lies and deceit of Jesus Christ, the isolation of the Buddha, and how many others you see, always putting themselves above their followers. But here the Guru is saying, my main mission is to make the Sikh like myself, right? So the Nirgun form is the divine capability of the Guru, the Sort, the consciousness, and that is one with the Kal. The Guru is that divine Sort personified. We have to make ourselves one with the Kal, the Guru doesn't. That's the difference. Then the Guru says the second form of the Guru is Sarguna. And the Sargun form now isn't the Khalsa. Interesting, isn't it, that it isn't the Khalsa? It is the Granth, the Guru Granth Sahib, right? So within the Guru Granth Sahib, now in the Suraj Prakash, it is written that Guru Harkrishan Sahib said, the Granth is the Akal. He who wants to see me, let him, with faith and devotion and love for the Granth, see the Granth. So all his sins will flee. He who wishes to speak with their Guru, let him read the Guru Granth with devotion. He who lives its teachings will be liberated. So in the Guru Granth is the Guru spirit. Daily bow your head to it, and you will conquer your passions and become mukti, liberated. So the sargun, the physical, the tangible form of the Guru is the Guru Granth Sahib. So here is the Guru's physical being within the Guru Granth Sahib. So the Shabad, if you look at it, the Gyan is basically emanating from the divine capability of Akal, but its physical form for us, because we are physical beings, its tangible form, something we can relate to, is in the Guru Granth Sahib, right? And now comes the third form. So there are three forms, and what's the third form? The third form, the Guru says, is Gur Shabad, right? And now Bhai Nand Lal ji asks, Maharaj, isn't the Guru Granth Sahib the Guru Shabad? And Guru Maharaj says, no. In a way, it is the Shabad of the Guru. But Guru Shabad here, Bhai Nand Lal ji, for your Prashanuttar, means the embodiment of the Guru Shabad. The Guru Shabad as it is lived. And that is the Sikh, the Gursikh. And the Gursikh who becomes Khalis is the Gur Shabad in action. And this is why the Gur Shabad Sikh, the Khalsa, is important, because the Khalsa is living their life as exactly as the Guru wanted them to. Basically, the Khalsa is living their life as the Guru lived their lives, as Guru Gobind Singh Ji lived his life. And how did the Gurus live their lives? Well, based on the Guru Granth Sahib. So you see a circular three-way relationship emerging here. The Khalsa lives like the Guru wanted them to, but the Guru lives like the Guru Granth Sahib enjoins how life is to be lived. So it's a three-way pattern that is ongoing. And this is why the one who becomes the Khalsa is worthy of ruling and is worthy of guiding other Sikhs. And we need to remember that because Sikhi is rooted in this world, this is why the Sikh should always be ruling. The Sikh is perfect to rule. Yes, Raj Karega Khalsa means we take over territory. Yes, Raj Karega Khalsa means we destroy all the false religions, all their false kingdoms, and rebuild the world on Sikh values. But Raj Karega Khalsa is also indicative of another fact. And if you look at UP, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, there are multiple villages there which for the past 40, 50 years have been choosing Bihari Sikhs, Amritdhari Sikhs as their sarpanches. Why? Because they say that they live the Khalsa perfectly. Ye Khalse hai. They live as Khalsas. And I've been to these villages myself, and they will always get together and choose a Sikh, a Khalsa, as their sarpanch, even though they belong to different religions themselves. So this is exactly what the Khalsa is, the highest of the high, the best of the best. When the Khalsa made a decision historically, no one questioned it because they knew it was the best of the best from among themselves, that the wheat had been separated from the chaff, that the filter was there, and now only the few, the minority, because the Khalsa had to be a minority, it couldn't be a majority. The majority always regresses, the minority always progresses. It had to be the minority ruling over them, and no one questioned them. So now comes a question, what is the Sarbat Khalsa? There is this argument that the Sarbat Khalsa is the Sikh government. It isn't the Sikh government, and this is the same mistake which the militants made back in the 80s. It isn't the Sikh government. So there is the Khalsa, the Guru Panth Khalsa, is the Sarkar of the Sikhs, right? So the Sarbat Khalsa, the biannual Sarbat Khalsa that was designed and held historically at the Kal Takht or wherever else the Panth was basically a way of providing accountability to a majority of Sikhs that, hey, this is what your government is doing. But it was also a referendum on the most vital decisions for the Sikhs to get together and say, well, our Sarkar, Guru Panth Khalsa ji, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆ ਵੀ policy ਦੇਖੋ. Guru Panth Khalsa ji, please look at these policies, please look at these issues. So it was a communicative medium. It was a exercise in accountability, and it was also a referendum. But it wasn't the Sikh government. The Sikh government was the Khalsa. And among the Khalsa, only the most experienced were chosen for those high political positions. And this is where another aspect comes in. The names Singh and Kaur, historically valid, yes, but they were titles, right? And this is why we have some Amritdhari Singhs writing letters with their original names. And Dr. Trilochan Singh has provided evidence that there is a Hukamnama of Guru Gobind Singh Ji basically saying, well, if you have these old names in use already, yes, you can keep using them. Bhai Nand Lal, Sahib Devi, etc., honorifics, titles, yes, but Singh and Kaur were also honorifics and titles that were given to the Khalsa as a sign of their commitment and their loyalty. And if the Khalsa was to regress, if a member of the Khalsa was to regress, then there were the penalties for Bajjar Krit. So this was the Khalsa, a body of Jivan Mukts leading the Sikhs. So you had your Sahajtari Sikh, you had your Khalsa Sikh, all of them had to work towards the Singh-Khalsa identity because the Singh-Khalsa identity was the supreme identity. The Nirmalas, the Udasis, all this other rubbish was discounted straight away. None of the Gurus entertained them. So the central identity from Guru Nanak onwards was always the one of the Singh-Khalsa identity. with the Kesh, the Kakars, but also the Siddhant of the Guru Granth Sahib. The Guru Granth Sahib personified is the Guru Panth Khalsa. This is the two-way relationship. So how many gurus do the Sikhs have? We can say the gurus of the Sikhs have 12 gurus. So Guru Nanak to Guru Granth Sahib, and then the Guru Panth Khalsa, the living expression of the Guru Panth Khalsa. And this is why Bhai Prahlad Singh Ji in his Retnama says, or Bhai Prahlad Rai for the sake of argument, आज्ञा पै अकाल की तबे चलायो पंथ सब सिखन को हुक्म है गुरु मान्यो ग्रंथ गुरु पंथ जी मान्यो प्रगट गुरा की ते. Right? So Guru Panth Ji Manyo Pargat Guraki there doesn't mean that this is the manifested body of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Even though Guru Gobind Singh Ji does say that yes, the Khalsa is me, what it really means is that the Guru Panth Pargat Guraki de, because it's been positioned after Sabsekhan Ko Hukam Hai Guru Manyo Granth, it basically means that the manifestation of the Guru Granth Sahib in a physical bodily form is the Guru Panth. This is what it means. So when it comes to another question now is the Khalsa initiation ceremony. Now, if you look at it from a Jungian perspective, right, that of Carl Jung, the psychoanalyst and the psychologist, well, there is something that has to be said here as well. So Carl Jung basically actually elaborated that from the Jungian perspective, as basically what he used to call his own perspective, is that all cultures have this united consciousness. And in that consciousness, that subconsciousness, we find all these different archetypes or models, but they're the same across all cultures, right? So anything of this world had to be studied in relation to this world and could not be divorced from it, either itself or its environment. So this was where many ascetic religions and even Freudian analysis was opposed to him. But he rationalized the existence of an individual unconsciousness. So that unconsciousness came from a universal unconsciousness. And the evidence he used was that basically, if you look at the whole world, right, distinct cultures, distinct traditions, but there is a universal unity among them as well, that they have these models for a ruler, a sage, a trickster, explorer, rebel, hero, magician, common man, the innocent, the caregiver, and the lover. So these models were found in each and every culture. How they were interpreted and seen was different, but the models were the same culture to culture. So it was finally around 1949 that the mythologist, someone who studies myths, Joseph Campbell, he published his Hero with a Thousand Faces. This is the book that also inspired the character of Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. So he would propose that out of the 12 models Carl Jung identified, the hero was the most crucial for humanity, as it is the most necessary. Why? The hero was the most crucial, as the necessity of self knowledge was a prerequisite for the hero to begin their quest. So, as the hero's quest progressed, they would find inner strength arising from within themselves to challenge their enemies and overcome their trials. So Campbell identified not only mythological examples of this principle, but also historical examples. So, because the hero adventured out not for himself but for his society, the hero was truly selfless. So, the journey of the hero always started from weakness, right? The destruction of their environment, the near death of their society. So, this compels them to grow as individuals while battling the unknown and then returning back to help their fellows, right? So, just like the Khalsa mystic, climb out of the well, go back to help others in the well. So, then Campbell wrote another book in 1988, The Power of Myth, that the hero's quest represented another more nuanced aspect of the individual's journey. So, transitioning from a stagnant condition to a richer, more mature condition. So, let's look at it from a Jungian perspective again. So, the hero's battle with monsters and the unknown actually represented the battle within their own human self to subdue their most animal tendencies and to kill their inner beast. So, this was the path to liberation. The hero would then return to selflessly rebuild their society by imbibing all the other Jungian aspects. But the very fact that the hero would venture out to undergo the most severe of trials for their own people proved not only their altruism, but their worthiness to lead these people and create more heroes. So the original hero will walk a sharp path and subdue their own inner anti hero to emerge as a stronger hero and then complete their quest to create even more heroes. So let's look at it from the Sikh perspective. Killing the inner beast. What does Gurbani say? Nar mare, nar kaim na ave, pasu mare, das kaaj saware. अपने कर्म की गति मैं क्या जानो बाबा रे रहाओ हड जले जैसे लकड़ी का तूला केस जले जैसे आस का पुला कास का पुला कहो कबीर तभी नर जागे जम का दंड मंड मही लागे. So this is from Guru Granth Sahib, Ang 870. What do I know of my acts? What do I learn from their consequences? When the human within, my conscience, perishes, then an individual becomes obsolete. However, if the beast within perishes, then the individual is useful for 10 purposes and more. In the end, all our bones will perish like logs in flame. Our hairs will fly away like hay in wind. Kabir asks the reader, will you only awaken, you idiot, when death comes and knocks at your door? So, Gurbani says that the subjugation of the inner beast is the highest calling for humanity, right? It can furnish us with superhuman resilience in one's quest to live life perfectly. Then even the great unknown, that is death, cannot frighten one, right, while they pursue their aims. So the path to perfection is similar in the sense that the hero ventures out for the sake of their community and not any other. So this sense of altruism, amalgamated, that is mixed with loyalty, is a foundational element of Sikhi, where the Sikh serves the Sikh first, for they're on the true path of the Guru. So Sikh first, Sikh supremacy. All non-Sikhs are prioritized after a Sikh because their false beliefs are usually opposed to the Panth at large. But the Sikh hero is not one who exclusively learns about the self while on their mission. The emphasis is on prior self-mastery by restraining lust, obsession, wrath, hubris, and fear. Kam, krodh, lobh, bo, ankar. Right? So this injunction, like this principle, is indicative of the Khalsa mentality. So when we come to the Guru archetype, right, what the Guru did in 1698, there is something to be said here. So the Sikhs, right, whatever compulsion moved them away from their original false religions, they came into Sikhi. First path of the hero, compulsion. Then they started walking forward. Then the Guru's call to enter the tent and give their head, right? The great unknown. This is what Joseph Campbell says. The hero is progressing along their quest. They're becoming more and more heroic as they go across. As they keep going, they become more stronger. But then comes a point. This is the great unknown. And it is the great unknown because this is where the hero's test will truly emerge. Do they keep going or do they turn back? And the great unknown, the way Guru Gobind Singh Ji set up the Khande Ki Paul ceremony that day in 1698 was, do you enter the tent or do you not? And even today, in a way, do we give our head to the Guru or not? What does it imply for us? On a personal level, all that is something we need to be thinking about. And so, what Jung and Campbell did at the time, what they identified as being a true hero, the Gurus did almost 2 centuries before them. So, the Jungian analysis and Campbell's works can help us understand the Khalsa mentality that the Sikh is the hero. When they come to that point of the knowing and they go through it and successfully come out the other side, they're the Khalsa. And as the Khalsa, they come back to liberate others. And this is the Guru Panth Khalsa. The Guru Granth Sahib will always need a living, briefing individual or a group of individuals to imbibe it. And this is the Khalsa. So these are the individuals worthy of ruling. These are the individuals worthy of leading others. These are the individuals worthy of rebuilding the world. But the reality is कि ਅਸੀਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਇੰਨਾ ਸਸਤਾ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ that we have made Amrit so cheap that every other idiot comes in, takes Amrit, and starts becoming a Khalsa leader, and we have so many chiefs, but not enough Indians. And all these chiefs are destroying the Panth. So we need a solution where the youth get together, take over a Gurdwara, and announce that only the young will be given Amrit from now. All this mystical garbage associated with Amrit, of taking Amrit, becoming Mukt, needs to be done away with. It is a calling to the highest endeavor of mankind, which is leadership. And only the best of the best will be given Amrit. Right? So if a Sikh is Mukt and a Khalsa is Mukt, Khalsa is 100% liberated. That's the guarantee. That's the stamp of the Guru. The Sikh, if they don't have it, that's between the Sikh and a Kal. But the Khalsa is 100% Mukt. And if the Sikh dies without taking Amrit, right, in a just, worthy way, like the Guru says, they and the Khalsa go to the same way. They go to the same ultimate end point of their journey. Right? And this is exactly what happened with Maharaja Koramal. So his descendants talked with Dr. Ganda Singh and clarified to him he was never able to take Amrit. But from a Khalasa, he became a Sahajtari. Right? He became a Sahajtari. But he died fighting. And he was called a Qaumi Shaheed by the Dal Khalsa. He was declared a Qaumi Shaheed. Right? This was someone who never took Amrit. But he wanted to take Amrit. That was also different. He wanted Khande Ki Pahal. He wanted to be a part of the Khalsa. Right? It wasn't like today, hey, I'm a Mona, I'll be a Fuddu Mona for the rest of my life. Yeah, I'll go donate some money at the Gurdwara. I don't need to take Amrit. No, he never questioned that. But he wasn't able to take it. And there are compulsions. But the highest identity in Sikhi is the Singh-Khalsa identity, and that's what everyone should endeavor to be. And if you endeavor perfectly, if you prepare yourself perfectly, you will get it and then become a ruler. The Guru Panth Khalsa is the ruler. And just as back in the day in the West, only a few individuals used to vote, and Western governments and democracy actually made progress, it was similar with the Khalsa. Right? Few Khalsas led a majority of Sikhs, no problem. Majority Khalsas leading majority of Sikhs, we have a lot of pange going on. Because 90% of the individuals who take Amrit today should not be given Amrit in the first place. They should not be given Khande Ki Pahal. And when we talk about the Gurmata, what was the Gurmata? The Gurmata did not mean a democratic resolution or a republic resolution. It meant a resolution from the Guru's Mat. That the Khalsa has given a Gurmata, the Guru Panth Khalsa has given its Mata, its decision, its resolution. So that's all for today. Until next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
दुद्ध जिते इन्हीं के प्रसाद सुदान करे अक्ल अवगटारा इन्हीं के प्रसाद इन्हीं की कृपा पुण्य धाम भरे इन्हीं के प्रसाद सो विद्यालय इन्हीं की कृपा सब सत्य मरे इन्हीं सजे हम हैं नहीं पोसो गरीब